Welcome to Your Genius Podcast, the personal and professional development podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners. My mission is to help you accelerate your most valuable asset. This asset is you. I believe you have an inner greatness, a greatness which can be used to inspire your most ambitious lifestyle. That greatness is your genius, and I'm here to help you discover yours. I'm Keir, high performance coach and lifestyle entrepreneur. I've been on a 12-year mission to find out what it takes to achieve lifestyle freedom. And now I'm here to help you do exactly the same. So get ready to dive in and start making more profits, earn back more time, and more importantly, start living that dream life you set out to achieve. Hey guys, and welcome to Your Genius Podcast. So what is this all about? Well, let us first kind of tell you a little bit about my background, but in a nutshell, this is for entrepreneurs and business owners, but not limited to. See, this is about growth. It's about personal growth. It's about development. It's about constant moving forward and getting more from life. Creating freedom. Creating freedom is been my ultimate mission for a long time. And I want more of this. I want more people to have this freedom, this, sense of doing good and sense of getting the best out of life. So before I kind of go into that, I'll go through it a bit more. This is my first solo podcast, so please excuse any sort of nervousness or anything that kind of comes with doing a first podcast. I have kind of told myself at this very moment, just do it. Just do it, because I've got a lot of things running around my head at the minute because it's the first time. So it's not going to be the best podcast, but there's going to be a lot of information here, so just let us get into a groove a little bit, and over time, these will actually get really good. So, basically, let us give an introduction of me. So, my name's Keir Witherspoon, okay? I'm a personal development coach. Well, I'm a high-performance coach, certified high-performance coach. This is in personal development. This is growth. This is about helping people to master themselves, to master the psychology, the physiology, discover purpose and clarity, and to really get under the hood of what is going on internally, okay? Because my belief is that you, the individual, you are the biggest asset. You're the biggest asset to your business. You're the biggest asset to your life. You are the biggest asset. So it makes sense to put as much effort into you than it is anything else in life. So I've got a family. So I'm married to Claire. We've been together for, 15 years now. And we have two boys. We've been married for 6 years. And we have two boys, Arlo, who's 5, and Kobe, 3. And yeah, this is kind of my life. That these guys are my life. So let us just take you now into my mission. So the mission of this podcast. So this podcast is to help entrepreneurs and business owners specifically, okay? But it's also for those who are at that stage of change, that stage where they want to get more from life. The stage where you're stuck and you're thinking, well, I'm not happy where I'm at. I need more. I want more from life. What can I do? And to me, entrepreneurship is the ultimate goal to freedom. And I want to help people achieve that. Whether it's somebody just starting out, whether it's somebody who is young, old, starting out, conditioned, someone who's been in business a long time, someone who is maybe just looking to get into business and not quite sure how to do it. Because the thing is with business, it's changed over the years. It's massively, massively changed to what it was. 2020 was kind of what I see is the rise of the entrepreneur, because I think it's kind of made people realise, with everything with the pandemic and everything that's gone on, it's made people realise that there's more. There's more to life. There's more to life than just getting by and just accepting circumstances. Lockdowns put everybody in a position where they can really reflect on life and start reassessing things. And my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion, I do think that employment is going to go down just with everything that's gone on. So I think it's an ideal time now to do a transition, to really understand that you can achieve lifestyle freedom. You can achieve anything in life that you really want to achieve. And that's what I want this podcast for. Obviously, I'm not going to kind of solve any problems on the first one. This is just to kind of give you an understanding of where I'm going with it. And over the kind of coming weeks, months, years, then you'll get an understanding of more what I'm trying to deliver with a specific podcast. So let's just go into kind of entrepreneurship now, because this, I do believe, is the ultimate ticket to freedom, because you have full control. You have full control of everything. You've got full control of your business. You've got full control of your income. You've got full control of everything that goes on. And to me, I think that is, to me personally, that is the ultimate freedom. Having that kind of control, and not in a way that, you're a controlling freak, but in a way that you can, it just brings the best out of you. It just really makes you kind of explore yourself and think, I've got to be at my best. I can't just do this half-assedly. I've got to be at my best. I've got to make the best of me. And this really gets people to delve in deep into themselves and, really get the best out of them. And there was a quote, I think it was by Tony Robbins, and it was something I come across a while ago. And what he said, it was business is 80% psychology and 20% skill. Okay? I think when people go into business or they go into entrepreneurship and they try to do things themselves, they just focus on skills. So they just delve into the skills, but they don't focus on themselves. And I think this is a big mistake. And this is certainly a big mistake that I made. And I don't want anybody making the same mistakes that I made. So I think if you can, if 80% of it's psychology, 80% say psychology, I'd say 80% sort of self-mastery, where you look, it's not just your psychology, it's your physiology as well. It's your health. It's all these things. It's you. You're the asset. You're the biggest thing that you need to work on. And if we can spend 80% of your time doing that, those 20% skills are going to be, these are going to be the rocket fuel. These are going to be the thing that really sets your business alight, that changes your life, that just, everything just changes because of this thing. But there's three elements that I believe that every entrepreneur should be focused on. I do think these are the three pillars that there should be non-negotiables. This is personal development. Personal development is absolutely important. Working on yourself, making you the biggest asset, making you fire on all cylinders, helping you just to be your absolute amazingly best. This is where your genius comes from. See, I believe that we all have this inner greatness. We all have this inner genius within inside ourselves that can transform our lives. It can give us the life that we want. It can help us, develop our lifestyles. And I do think it's created from our experiences. It's inspired by our experiences. It's inspired by the things that we enjoy to learn. It's inspired by the things that we want to achieve. But a lot of people don't explore it. A lot of people don't. They're kind of limited by the thing that need to be intelligent, and you don't. They're limited by their age. They're limited by all these kind of barriers, experience and everything. But the thing is, your experience is what's going to change your life, because you are unique. And this is what your genius is all about. It's about exploring the subconscious mind and developing your brain, because it's an amazing instrument that can simply change your life. And there's loads of methods, there's loads of different things that we're going to kind of go through within time. It's just absolutely fascinating. And I want anybody listening to understand that, it's truly remarkable. You have this ability to change. You have this ability to do whatever it is that you want. You've got the ability to, progress your life, your business, and just be ultimately the best version you possibly can. This is what my business is about. This is what this podcast is about. It's about your genius. It's about you. It's about creating the best you. So the three, going off on a bit of a tangent there, but if we look back at these three pillars, I think personal development is the very first ultimate pillar that people should be focusing on, that you should be focusing on if you want to achieve lifestyle, freedom, personal development. Then it's marketing, because, marketing, it's a game of psychology. It's not just a case of, here's my business, here's a big sign, here's my business, come and kind of join me. Years ago, it was kind of what they said was in business was, build it and they will come. And this is probably worked 20 years ago. If you had a lot of money, you could open a shop, and you built this shop because nobody else could afford to do it, so people would come. So you would build it and then you would come. Now it's a different world. Now it's completely different. Marketing has changed. Marketing was a lot of psychology, and it has definitely, that you can't say that it wasn't, but from these days now, marketing is so important. It is all about, psychographics as opposed to just the demographics. And what I mean by that is, it's not just about the person, who you're trying to attract. It's about the problems you're trying to solve. It's about the psychographics of the people who you want to bring into your business. You've got to go and find those people. So marketing is super important. And financial intelligence. This is, again, from my experience, so financial intelligence is just so important. And these are the things we're not taught at school. We're not taught how to manage money. We're told to save money and not to spend on things that we can't afford. But I think this creates a bit of a sort of a negative effect with money. It creates a bit of a barrier with money, and I know it certainly did for me. But I think if we can be taught the importance of financial intelligence and you don't have to be an expert, but just understanding how finances work, how you can invest, how you can actually make money work for you and develop your life, because ultimately this is where a lot of freedom comes from, is financial freedom. So having an understanding of how finances work is super important. Now, from those three pillars, personal development, marketing, and financial intelligence, my expertise is in personal development. Okay, I've got a marketing I'm really interested in because it's part of my business. I love learning about marketing. And financial, this is something that I kind of really struggled with at the beginning stages, because for 6 years I ran my business. For 6 years I had a gym business. For 6 years I ran my gym, and although I was bringing in sales, where the gym was at one point, it was actually a six-figure business, which it seems to be the kind of the target everybody focuses for in business, is that big six-figure outcome. But it doesn't really mean anything, because take my circumstances, for example. I didn't have any financial intelligence. So although I was bringing in the sales and creating six figures, my financial intelligence wasn't good enough to make that work. It wasn't savvy enough. I wasn't using what I brought in to be effective to my business. I spent a lot of money on stupid things. And I say stupid things, I wasn't spending on big bling bling watches or anything like that. What I was spending on was things that I thought would develop my business but wouldn't, because I didn't have enough knowledge at the time. I was spending on things, I was looking at sort of, I remember investing it was £1,500 in someone to look at my SEO on my website. And at the time I thought, this is what I need. I need my website to perform for me. So I paid £1,500 to get someone to enhance my SEO, which is a search engine optimization. And nothing worked, nothing helped. I lost £1,500. And these are the kind of things that I was doing. And I don't want people to make that mistake. So my areas of expertise is not financial intelligence or marketing. These are things that I'm going to bring people in. I'm going to bring other experts in who are at the top of the game with this. And I'm going to, I'll give you my insights in them, and then I'll give you the mistakes that I've made. But I want other experts to come in and actually give you the juice, the lowdown, and the things that you can actually put in place. But for the most of it, personal development, 80%, this is what I'm going to be talking about. It's my area of expertise. It's what I love. And yeah, just this is what it's going to be about. So, what is personal growth? So just, if maybe you're jumping into this now and you're thinking, well, what is all this personal development and personal growth about? Okay, just let us give you a little bit brief on this. So personal growth is reaching the point of the next level. Okay, we all reach this point. We all come to this point in life where we want to reach the next level. We want to get out of being stuck. We want to seek more personal freedom. And I'll share my experiences with this, which will give you a bit more light on it. But I see freedom as being two main things. There's lifestyle freedom. Now, how to gain lifestyle freedom is through financial freedom and time freedom. Okay. Again, I'm going to get more into this in further podcasts. But financial freedom isn't necessarily being a millionaire or having loads of money. It's having the finances to live the life that you want, your lifestyle. It's giving you that freedom to live however you want to live without being governed by not having enough. Not being able to go on the holidays that you want to go on, not be able to buy the things that you want to buy because you haven't got the finances to do it. Financial freedom gives you that freedom. And time freedom. Time freedom to do the things that you want to do. So you're not dictated by having to clock on at 9 o'clock and clock out at 5 o'clock. Having that time to do and live your life how you want to live it. You can create a business. You can create your lifestyle around your time. Your business or whatever it is doesn't govern your time. You govern your time. You're the master. You're the captain of the ship. And that is what financial and time freedom are. And then there's self-mastery, okay? This is where I see self-mastery. This is kind of more emotional freedom, social freedom, spiritual freedom, and creative freedom. And again, I get into more of these if I want to do a podcast on these alone, so I'm not going to go too far into it today. So a little bit of introduction to me and kind of why I'm here and why I'm doing this now, okay? So now I'm a high performance coach. I'm a certified high performance coach. I've done this through a guy called Brendan Bouchard, who founded High Performance Habits. He spent like 20 years in the personal development world, and people like him is who I look as the kind of gurus of the industry, if you like, if you want to call them the gurus. But these are the guys who they've been in it, they've done it, and these are who we can learn from. Okay, and this is why I've done this personal development coach through him, because I knew that I could learn a lot from that. And it wasn't a cheap course, it was very expensive, but it wasn't for the qualification, it was for the insights, it was for the understanding of how I could help somebody else. And this is why personal development is so close to me, because it's something I've struggled with for a long, long time. It's something that I discovered, really delved deep into, and it changed my life. So just to have a kind of brief understanding of personal development, like I said before, you are the biggest asset. You are the biggest asset in your life, in your business. This is your psychology, your physiology, being productive, but most importantly, purpose. So what purpose have you got in life? It's understanding all these things to make you your most powerful self. So just to give you a kind of a little bit of a background now. When I was 15, I suffered a brain hemorrhage, and it was life-threatening. I was had to get taken to hospital. I was operated on. I was 15 minutes away from dying. And why I'm telling you this is for a very good reason. See, most people have sort of life-threatening injuries, or they're brought to what they see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they kind of have this massive epiphany. I didn't. I thought it ruined my life. Most people would go through something like this and they would think, they would see the world in a different light. I felt done. I felt that I'd been hard done by. I thought my life was over. I remember kind of lying in the hospital bed and thinking, my life's done. I was 15-year-old and I thought my life's done. This massive injury has happened and it's actually ruined my life. And it was a wrong way to think, but it's how I was at the time. But the reason I'm kind of telling you this is because when I was at school, before all this kind of happened, I didn't really have any issues as such in terms of, I wouldn't say I was the most popular person, but I was social. I was very in with the crowd is probably the wrong word, but I didn't really have any kind of confidence issues or social issues or anything at that age, no more than any other kid did anyway. But then after my injury, what happened was, I become very socially anxious. And this really kind of hindered my life for a long time. See, when I came out of hospital, there was a few things that happened. I couldn't talk and I couldn't walk properly. I had to learn all these things again. And I had a bald spot in the back of my head, and it was so bald. I mean, it was like you could have waxed it. It was so bald. It was like probably about kind of 3-4 inch block on the back of my head. And when I went back to school, the fine follicles started growing through a little bit. There was fine hairs there, and my mum used to she would try to mascara. She put mascara on the back of my head to try and hide it. It didn't work. Even using waterproof mascara, it still kind of came off. But the biggest thing here was I was anxious. I was already anxious when I went back to school. I was worried about what people would think of us, because I knew I was a little bit different from where I was before my injury. And my worst fears were real, because when I got back, although people spoke to us, they didn't act the same. I'd be really anxious at school. I wouldn't go and talk to people because people kind of avoided us, and it was horrible. It was an awful feeling. I used to really we used to get to break times, and I would dread break times and dinner times. We had half an hour for dinner, or 45 minutes or whatever it was, and I would hate it because I knew I'd be by myself. I'd be walking around by myself looking for something to do, and it was a horrible place to be. And that was from, I think I went back to school in the October time. I had my injury in the June, so I missed my summer, and that was one of the things that I kind of really resented, the fact that all my pals were out in the summer, they were having fun, and I was at home kind of recovering from this brain hemorrhage. And by the time I kind of started getting myself back to normal. It was October time, went back to school in the October. And so I had another, October up until it was my GCSE year, my exam year. So I had October all the way around to the following May at school, and it was just a horrible time. But this kind of expanded right through my life from then. And, from the ages of sort of that happening 15-year-old up to the age, I would say 26, when I really started trying to work on my life, then this really hindered everything. I was very socially anxious, and it got worse and worse. But what happened was, because when I got about 16-year-old, I discovered going out and getting drunk with my pals, and that's kind of what I would do. That would help with the anxiety, because I felt accepted doing this. So we'd go out every weekend, we'd go out, we'd drink, we'd get intoxicated, and this is kind of how my life went for from the age of 16 up until the age of 26. That's kind of what I'd done. And looking back on it, I didn't realise at the time, but looking back on it, I was actually using alcohol as a way to be accepted, but also to kind of deal with the anxiety that I had. When we went out, or if I was in any kind of social groups without being sort of under the influence of alcohol, I'd be very anxious. I wouldn't talk. I'd be quiet. I would sit. Someone actually said that I was mysterious once. It was just quite amusing. And I wasn't at all mysterious. I was just so nervous and anxious that I wouldn't talk. It just kind of hit it really well. But anyway, this kind of brought me to 12 years ago. And I say 12 years ago because this is the point where this was when my discovery of personal development, which I didn't realise at the time, or personal growth, kind of started. So I'd been in a job that I hated. I was suffering from a lot of social anxieties, but I got to the point where I was just, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to life than this. And I resented my job. Everybody around me was just twisting and moaning and complaining about their lives all of the time. They hated the jobs, they hated the lives. And I was just, there's got to be something different here. There's got to be something more. And at the time, it was the time when I first met Claire, my wife, and we'd been together for about a year, and I thought, what it is? I've just got to do something. I've got to do something different. So I sold my home, because I had a home at the time. I actually got some compensation for my head injury, and I used that to buy a house. At the time, I had no idea about entrepreneurship. I wish I had. I know if I could kind of, again, one of the reasons for this podcast, if there's young people listening to it, this is going to be so kind of inspiring to you, because I wish I had this 12 years ago. In fact, I wish I had this 20 years ago, because at the time I had 20 grand, which I got. And luckily, my dad kind of encouraged me to invest in a house that we'd done up and that I actually went in to live in. But the rest of it I just wasted on drink and partying. And at the time, that's what I wanted, but I wish I knew more about, development, future, and the possibilities, the potential, and everything that you could achieve in life. So basically what happened is I sold my home, and I quit my job and I went to uni. Okay? Do you know what? This was awesome. I sold my home and we bought a home together, me and Claire. And the money that I sold my home was to get me through university and to pay the mortgage on our new house for the next 4 years. That is what I sold my home for. It was absolutely awesome. It was absolutely awesome because it was the first taste of freedom that I had. For 12 years, I hadn't had freedom. For 12 years, I'd been stuck in a job that I hated. I was doing things that everybody else was doing because I thought that I had to do that. Do you know what? This just gave me that taste of, I can do whatever I want now. I remember standing in the job centre and thinking, I can do anything I want. I'm just going to look through that job list and I'm just going to see what I want to do. And one of the first things I seen was working in a call centre. Had no idea what that would be like. And I thought, I'm going to give that a shot. And I was excited for it. I absolutely hated it when I'd done it. Lasted 3 weeks and I quit because I thought, this doesn't give me any kind of freedom. It doesn't give me any sense of freedom. So then kind of what happened was when I was actually before I'd done all this, I'd actually gone through a personal training qualification. And what I'd done with this, I actually failed the exam 4 or 5 times. So I wasn't technically a qualified personal trainer. And this is one of the things that really kind of hindered is my education. One of the reasons I went to university, because I thought I'm not intelligent enough. I thought that I needed to be more intelligent. I thought that this was one of my Achilles heel was my intelligence. So to go into university, to me, made sense. I'd failed my personal training exam 4 times. I was in a job that didn't really require a great deal of intelligence. I wasn't using my brain. And I hadn't done that. I hadn't used my brain for 9 years I was in that job. So going to university was kind of the logical step. It was the next logical step. But throughout my university, through 4 years, I kind of worked as a personal trainer, loved it. I was working in a local hotel. I was working as a lifeguard. But it just gave me so much freedom. And I knew what I'd done was the right thing. I just knew what I'd done was the right thing because it felt right. This kind of led to being a self-employed personal trainer. I graduated uni with a 2-1. I know before going to university, if someone said you'd finish with a 2-1, I'd have been absolutely ecstatic. But the fact was, I'd been absolutely ecstatic. But the fact was, when I finished uni, I built up so much confidence. I was actually disappointed I didn't finish with a first. I finished with a 2-1. Anyway, this kind of led me to self-employment with personal training. I'd done this for 2 years. Again, because of the freedom it gave me, I was self-employed. I could work the hours I wanted to work. It was absolutely amazing. And then this led to wanting more. So I thought, well, okay, I want more. I'm personal trainer. How can I get more? This led me to opening my own gym. This, I thought, was awesome. Yeah, I've got my own business, my own building. I'm going to bring people into it. And I'll build it. People will come. I can coach the people that I want to train. Other people can pay me a subscription. They can come to my gym. I thought, yes, it's going to be all rosy and it's going to be amazing. But it wasn't like that. I had no business experience. I'd been self-employed for 2 years, but I had no business experience. And this is really where my business journey started from. So 12 years ago when I quit, that was my personal growth journey started. But when I started my business, this is where my business started from. I see my business, I see the time that I've done in my business is the time of, it was my business degree. I learned so much in this. Made so many mistakes that I don't regret because it gave me so much value. It's given me so much experience. But what I realized what it done is it stole my time away, and this is what I didn't want. The very reason I quit work initially was to break that time restriction, was to break freedom, and what I wanted more than anything was time freedom. And the reality was my business wasn't giving me this. It wasn't giving me the time that I wanted, the time that I craved. I wanted to spend time with my family. I didn't want to be away from my family. The irony was I was trying to build a business so I could spend more time with my family. It absolutely made no sense. So this is why I closed my business. I closed it at the beginning of lockdown. Well, through the first lockdown, I closed the gym and I set up online. And this is what set me down the road of personal development because I wanted to create a business where I could be with my family. More than anything, I just wanted to be a good husband to my wife and a good father to my kids. But anyway, that's enough about me. I've got a lot of things that I can share. I'll share within time. But I want to make this about you. What are you going to get? What are you going to get from this podcast? Well, this is what to expect. Transparency. Okay, this is what you're going to get transparency. I'm not an expert yet, okay, in a lot of these areas. I'm learning a lot at the minute. I've got a lot of experience, but I'm learning a lot. And I want to bring you along on this journey with me. And I want you to get as much out of it as you can, but I'm going to be totally transparent. This is my first podcast. Yeah. And it may be the worst podcast I ever do. I don't know. I don't even know how this is going to go. But I just told myself at the beginning, I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to put it out there, see what comes back. And over time, I'll get better. At the minute, this is kind of how it looks. I've got my computer. I'm sat in a little box room in our house. It's tiny. It was the Bairns nursery. It was the two kids' nursery. We transformed this into a kind of an office, but it's still a kind of a dumping ground. So this is the truth. This is where we're at. I've got a microphone which I got for Christmas because I wanted to start a podcast with something that made it feel professional. And it's the podcast, the microphone probably cost about £100, and it gives me that sense of this is a professional thing that I'm doing. But it's very much, I've got a sheet in front of us with some notes on. I'm hoping over time that I don't need this, but I know from now at this personal point that I do, because it's helping me get through it. And so basically, it's going to be very transparent. I'm going to be transparent with everything, so you can understand the pitfalls and the struggles that you've got to go through, but actually how beneficial and how raw and how vulnerability is actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay, so I'm going to teach you on personal development. I'm going to go through everything that I'm learning and everything that I'm teaching my clients, the things that we're getting, the insights that we're getting through personal development. And then I'm going to bring in guests. Okay, so I'm going to bring in guests who are expert in certain areas. I'm going to bring in guests who have their own inspirational stories, who can inspire you to change. If you're in that place of you want to change, or if you're in that place where you want to do something different and you want more from life, I'm going to bring people in to inspire you, because people's stories are just so powerful. And the guests that I bring in and experts, I'm going to bring experts in finances, I'm going to bring experts in marketing. So it's going to be really, really good. And it's going to give you methods, it's going to give you insights, it's just going to give you everything to kind of just shift up that gear to the next level. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, it doesn't matter where you are now, there's always something better, there's always something bigger, there's always something you can strive to work towards, because when you've got that, it gives you purpose, it gives you motivation, it gives you drive to get up in the morning and, to get at it and not just wake up and go, yeah, it's just another day. No, it's another day to be awesome. It's another day to put some good in the world. It's another day to really challenge yourself and see what you can get out of life, because you only get one. You get one life. That is it, one life. So why not make the most of it? Why not just make it absolutely amazing? So that's what this is about. I appreciate this has kind of gone on, 30 minutes. That's not too bad, because I've done podcasts in the past and they've went on quite a long time. My aim is to kind of keep them relatively short. I want to give you short, punchy information that you can kind of go away and work with. And I think 30 minutes is probably a good kind of time frame. Unless I bring somebody in, if I bring an expert in, it might go on for longer, maybe for an hour, whatever it is, but they'll give you that value. So I'm going to leave it there for today. So thanks for listening. Really, this was the first one. Please give us any feedback that you've got on it, if it was helpful. And yeah, so let's tune in next week to your Genius podcast. And thanks for listening. So thanks for listening today. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like more daily insights, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. The links are in the show notes. If you want to jump on my weekly emails, you can, follow another link in the show notes and subscribe to my emails. But if you really want to step it up and you want to work with me directly, all you need to do is just follow the link in the show notes and I'll jump on a free strategy call with you. So thank you for being here, and just remember this: everything that's happened so far in your life has been perfect. Now it's time to use these experiences and unleash your genius.